is your current primary area of study?
So my primary area of study is intercultural communication. So I study communication, interaction, or representation about people from different cultural backgrounds. And my primary lens into intercultural communication is cultural identity.
What research method do you primarily use?
I am trained in both quantitative and qualitative research method, but I'm more comfortable in qualitative. So I do interviews, autoethnography. I have a publication on focus group, but mostly interviews.
What undergraduate classes do you teach?
I teach Comm 371, which is intercultural communication right in my area. I'm currently also teaching an honors class. I think the title of the class is communicating difference that matter for social change. And I've taught PSFA 550, which is a capstone study for international studies minor.
And how long have you been at SDSU?
So I joined SDSU in fall 2016. So this is my 4th year.
What is tenure to you?
Tenure, whoa, that's a good big question.
I know.
So I guess tenure to me, it means I've always understood tenure to mean not just job security, but also academic freedom that allows faculty member to first of all research social problems that are important without worrying about losing their job, saying what needs to be said without kind of worry about repercussions or backlash and things like that. So personally, I gave up tenure promotion to associate professor at Ohio University when I decided to come to San Diego State, and then so I literally got tenure twice within like the course of I think like 3 or 4 years.
What is your title and what does that mean? Your professor.
Right. So there's a kind of so tenure. So usually, I guess in some ways, so we have faculty member who are lecturers, who usually means that they're not on tenure track. That also means that so as a tenure track faculty member, I was given a startup package to support my research. I was expected not just to teach classes, but also publish in peer-reviewed journal articles in my area. And then we kind of have this, I guess, tier system. We have, so you started out as tenure track assistant professor, then you go up, then you become associate, then you go up again when you become full. So I'm currently a tenured associate professor.
What career accomplishment are you most proud of?
That's a hard one. Career accomplishment that I'm most proud. Well, I guess in some way, I think that getting tenure twice in like 3-4 years, that's a big deal. Yeah, I think, in fact, I roll because like I don't think a lot of people were in a position to be able to write about the workplace that they decided to leave. So when I decided to come here, I thought it kind of created an opportunity for me to write about my experience at Ohio University and what led me to kind of leave, right? And then it ties in with my research interest on cultural identity, and then I write about my identity as an immigrant woman faculty and my experience in a very small Midwestern college town, right? So, remind me the question again. I'm going somewhere now.
What was your biggest accomplishment?
Yeah. So in that sense, then I think that because I was able to write about what happened to me there, had I stayed, I probably would just let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
I would just not write about it. And I think that, so some people know that I write the article. That was a very hard, intimate, kind of difficult article to write about. At the same time, I think there are people in the field who kind of know me because of that decision I made. Yeah, so in some ways, I guess it is an accomplishment, I suppose. Yeah.
What is it like being a faculty in Arlington?
So I was a faculty in residence for 3 years with my husband, who worked for UC San Diego. He's a statistician, and then with my son, who moved in with us into the residence when he was 2.5.
Wow.
Yeah, so we lived in Kuikakali for 1 year, and then we lived in South Campus Plaza South for 2 years. I think it's from a kind of organizational communication, kind of identity perspective, it's a very interesting experience in the sense that when your work becomes home, a lot of boundaries becomes very fluid, right? And then require kind of negotiation. And one of my I think that we as a family, it's a great experience for us. For my son, right? Like living in a residence hall when he was 2.5 until he was 5.5. It's a very unique, incredible experience. He already, in some ways, get a head start, right? About what kind of college living is like, right? So that's incredible in that sense. I think at the same time, I remember like one evening I had to do a program, and then my son wanted to come because he wanted to see mom, but then he also wanted to do other. He was 2.5. He also wanted to do other things that a toddler wanted to do. So I asked my husband to take him away so I can do this kind of panel with the residents, and then he just like crying, screaming. He was fine. He was fine. He wanted me to feel bad about it. But he was fine. But it was like those moments, I think that, negotiating kind of life and family, right? And then this idea that I wasn't just a faculty member, I was also a resident, right? And I think that there's a lot of
Just different. What is your favorite class to teach and why?
Well, so definitely Comm 371, right? Because it connect directly with my areas of expertise. It's also one of the reasons I decided to give up tenure promotion to come to San Diego State University. At my previous institution, I don't always know when I get to teach that class. And for me, it's hard to do research about that class if I don't know when I'm going to teach it, right? Whereas in San Diego State, like that's a class I teach every semester, right? So then one of my research project was about kind of critical intercultural communication pedagogy. So thinking about how do we have those difficult but important conversation about race, racism, sexism, homophobia, Islamophobia in kind of the context of Comm 371. So I think that it allows me to really live the teacher-scholar model when I can plan a research project knowing that this is the class that I teach every semester.
Like your focus is like different cultures, basically. Is there like a specific culture you're like most fascinated by or like most connected with?
I think that's a really good question. Of course, I was born and raised in Taiwan, right? So definitely that's the culture. I was born and raised there. I came to the U.S. when I was 25. So, that's the culture I knew. That's the culture that I grew up with. But what was interesting is when I was deciding what dissertation research topic I want to work on, my advisor her advice to me was, as an intercultural communication scholar, you don't just want to be someone who researches your own group, right? You also wanted to be someone who have the skill sets to work with another cultural group, right? So in my dissertation, I actually work with 2 identity-based nonprofit. One serve Asian Americans, and then the other one serve first-generation Spanish-speaking, I guess not just Mexican, but first-generation immigrant women who primarily speak Spanish. So my experience working with the both nonprofit are very different, right? One where there's a connection there, whereas I think the other one because I don't speak Spanish, so I think that, working in that context, I think that really allows me to be a more kind of, I guess, in some ways more well-rounded intercultural communication scholar. So for me, I know the culture that I'm grounded in, right? But for me, I also wanted to be working with culture that challenge my worldview, allows me to understand things that I might not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.